Hey, it's Mike. Thanks for tuning back in. So, how did I manage to turn a mid-career Javi Lopez raw baseball card into a $106 sale via auction on eBay? You have to understand the card, the history, the set, to understand why this card, raw card of a semi-common player, I mean, even Javi Lopez was very good, he had a nice career, into such a big sale. 1990s inserts are wild, and 1997 Pinnacle Inside Diamond Edition are maybe the pinnacle of 1990s baseball inserts. You're familiar with 1990s basketball inserts. You know, they're wildly popular. Some people think that Nat Turner made them wildly popular or more valuable. I don't know. But the 1990s baseball inserts are similarly fascinating. And the Pinnacle Inside set from 1997, what were they inside? Well, they were inside a can. Yeah, like a can of beans, except not really beans. They were just in a can, like the can was the pack. And you had to use a can opener to open these packs of cans. And Pinnacle Inside, as you can imagine, was not particularly popular. I got a lot of my information here comes from juniorjunkie.blogspot.com. Do you remember Blogspot? Or I think Blogspot became Blogger. I used to have a blog on Blogspot 18, 19, 20 years ago. But juniorjunkie.com, juniorjunkie.blogspot.com, did a lot of research, did a really nice write-up on the Pinnacle Inside 1997 cards and the parallels. And he writes that there are 10 cards per can, not pack, per can, and that there were 24 cans per case. Pinnacle actually provided a novelty, not even a novelty can, it's a real can opener, to hobby shops to go along with it as kind of a, I guess, a promotional item. And the 10 packs inside the can, the 10 cards inside the can, were in a cellophane wrap, and they just banged around inside there. So you can imagine they weren't in great shape. And we'll talk a little bit about PSA population stuff coming up here. But, you know, you take out your can opener, and you'd pry these things open, and you would have a little cellophane pack with dinged up corners. And at this point, of course, you would want protection for your cards. And this video is sponsored by the Penny Sleever. At thepennysleever.com, you can get 10% off using my code JWH on your first order, and slide your cards right in, slide your graded cards right in. I have not, I talked about this the other day. I still haven't put this one in a Penny Sleever sleeve, perfect fit sleeve, but I will very, very soon before it gets put away. You can do team bags, you can do penny sleeves, top loaders, any type of supply, 10% off using my code JWH. They are the best in the industry. Link is in the description to this video. So you get these out, these cards, Pinnacle Inside. They weren't, like I said, very popular, but they had inserts. First one is the Club Edition parallel, one every 7 cans. It's, yeah, okay, not a big deal, not particularly rare. But the Diamond Edition came one every 63 cans, or roughly every 2.5 cases. And the Diamond Edition are die cut, and they are, by some player collectors, considered the holy grail of 90s inserts because they're so rare. And Junior, what did he call himself? Junior Junkie, which is a great name, by the way. I love alliteration. Junior Junkie tried to do an estimate of how many of these Diamond Edition cards there might be. And he said if there's one in every 63 cans, and there are 150 players in the set, in another, that he doesn't know the print run of the cans, but in another Pinnacle set from that time, there were about 1.4 million packs, I guess. And so then he calculated it out to be approximately 140 per player, assuming the print run was as high, 140 per player. But a couple of things. Due to the popularity, the fact that it was very unpopular, he thinks that the population, even at that level, would be much lower than 140 because a lot of these were never sold. They were recalled and destroyed. So there, your population goes down because of that. But he also doesn't think that the print run was anywhere near as high as 1.4 million, simply because it was very awkward. Like, they're coming in big cans. Why would Pinnacle print that many when they probably didn't expect demand to be very high? Tough to say. But the population, the graded population, and the ones that are selling on eBay indicate probably much rarer than 140 per player. And Junior Junkie said that he would see number to 25 junior cards, refractors from that era, selling up for sale much more frequently than the Diamond Edition. And I believe it. So I pulled this Javi Lopez Diamond Edition out of, yes, the Vermont collection last summer. And I remember looking it up and being like, what is this? I've never seen this before. Well, it's not numbered, but it was die cut, which immediately grabbed my eye because not a lot of 1990s cards were die cut, at least not compared to later on. And so I looked it up and I couldn't tell what it was. But the more I researched it, the more I thought, wow, this might have some real value. None in the PSA population, none had sold recently. In fact, I couldn't find a single sale of the Javi Lopez ever. No history of a sale of the card. Couldn't find a trace of this card on the internet anywhere, which is crazy for a 1990s card, especially one that's not numbered. And the more common ones were selling for like $40 to $60. So I thought, I might have something here. And then I thought, would I want to grade this card? It's die cut, and at the time I did not know that it came in a can, but I looked at it, it was die cut. It looked to have some dinged corners, I guess, or edges. And I was like, nope, I'm better off just selling this raw because it might come back a PSA 6 and then collectors are going to pay less for it. And I should have done this with the Griffey die cut card that I talked about in my PSA reveal last Saturday, I think it was. I never should have graded that with PSA. I should have let buyers buy it with hope of a PSA 9 or a PSA 10. And that's the play now. Is, if you're sure it's not going to 10 or 9 in some cases, then sell it raw. My chair is squeaking like crazy. So I decided I was going to list it on COMC. And initially I thought, well, I'll list it for $99 with offers on. And I thought about Chris Sewell, and Chris always says, when you have a really rare card, you can set the market. And this was the only one on the market. I looked all over. You can set the market, you can set it really high with offers on. So then I said, I'll list it at $199. And then I said, why not $299? So I listed it $299 on COMC with offers on, and I got no bites. And then in January, I think, right at the beginning of January, I did a 40% off sale. So that $300 suddenly becomes $180, right? And I still got no bites on it. And I thought, that's interesting. But I was looking at it, like, this is by far my most expensive card on COMC, or listed expensive. And it says right next to it, list on eBay for 99 cents. And I thought, geez, 99 cents, I can list it on eBay. This is amazing. So I did, and you can list it as an auction starting at 99 cents. And I did, and within 12 hours, it was already at $51. And I thought, oh, this is fantastic. And nothing else happened for the next 6.5 days of the auction. And I thought, it's just going to end at $51. But in the last minute, last few seconds, it shot up and it sold for $106.50, which was amazing. For a Javi Lopez card I pulled out of a junk wax collection. I was pumped for this. I don't want this card. It's not a card that I would ever want to have in my collection. And I could hook up a seller, a buyer, a collector who wants this for their player collection. The Junior Junkie wrote about player collectors are looking for these, and they set up alerts on eBay and will just throw out crazy high bids because they're so rare. So how rare are they? Again, I didn't find any Javi Lopez sales or listings for this card ever. A Ricky Henderson recently sold at auction for $393 raw. Gwynn sold for $72 raw. A Tim Salmon sold for $44 raw. And so when I was listening to this, I was thinking, well, if a Gwynn sold for $72, maybe a Javi Lopez sells for like $40 or $50. Like the Tim Salmon, $44. Felt pretty right to me. PSA population, though, the highest of any of the cards in this set was Ken Griffey Jr., who had 12 in the PSA population. Only 12 Griffies. And 4 of them are 9s, no 10s. And then you have Ripken, only 2. Ricky Henderson, only 2. Gwynn, 4. Barry Bonds, 3. Jeter, 8. Javi Lopez, 0, like I said. So I was so thrilled to sell this card for $106. Now, here's the crazy part. I guess it's all pretty crazy. So I listed it for 99 cents. That's the initial listing fee. But normally on eBay, you pay like a 13% fee, but I only paid a 5% fee to list it through COMC and sell it on eBay. I paid, remember, it sold for $106.50. I paid $5.33. It feels like if you want to sell cards that are over $100, send it to COMC, list it on eBay for auction through COMC. No shipping. Unless I had some sort of a deal. I went back, I looked. I couldn't see any deals. There was when I listed it, it just said list for 99 cents. And I'm sure that it talked about fees in there, but I didn't really care. I figured it would be like a 12 or 13% fee. It's 5% fee. Is that normal? Let me know in comments. I don't know. Okay, I went and looked up their auction fees, and it's actually 3.5% between $100 and $1,000. So I don't know why I was charged 5%, but either way, no big deal. Where they get you, as the kids say, is after your 10% cash out, which is only when you're pulling cash out of your account to your bank account, which I never do. I actually keep all this money in there and then just buy more cards from COMC, and that's the easy way to do it, I think. So, yeah, super rare, ultra rare, Diamond Edition, 1997, Pinnacle Inside, came in a can. And it's one of the rarest 1990s inserts for baseball, far rarer than the Topps Finest 1993, which had, some 340, 240 per player, something like that. So, really cool stuff. By the way, speaking of COMC and COMC sales, I will next week, I think the day after Easter, Monday, I'm doing another 40% sale on my COMC store. So all my cards on COMC, big blowout, 40% off. It's linked in the description to all of my videos, my COMC store, and I'll link it on my newsletter on Monday as well. So 40%, and I have another 220-ish cards going to COMC very soon. A lot of autographs, stuff like that, also from the Vermont collection. That's it for today. I appreciate you guys watching. I'll be back on Friday with a massive mail day. Very, very exciting mail day. I can't wait. Maybe it'll be tomorrow if I'm home in time. We'll see. See you guys soon.